fuck it, man. Yeah. Like I'm saying, was Jordan Poole worth that max contract, man? You know, we gotta definitely get that one in, man. Would you pay him a max? Is it worth paying $80 million for Jordan Poole?
Like I said before, you have to have more of a you have to have more to work with than just 2.5 years. So that's my opinion. Because if he's just having one of those decent years, and then all of a sudden just winds up being the way it is, then you wasted $80 million.
Well, I mean, I think it would be $40 million, but then the luxury tax would bring it to like 80. All right, let's start this baby off. I mean, we already broadcasting live already. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Sports to the Wire. For those of you who are actually new to the channel, I am your host, Rashid White. My boy, basketball analyst extraordinaire, Barrick Burrell.
Just here. I just work here, guys. How you doing?
Fresh cut and everything, man. I like that. Okay. All right. I said fresh cut, fresh haircut and everything, man.
Yeah, well, you know how that goes. Every once in a while, you gotta knock it out a little bit here and there, you know? So
let's get into this, man. Does Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving regret leaving their respective teams? So Barrick, fill me in, because you were saying, I know there was some Twitter beef between Draymond and Kevin Durant, and there was a whole lot of chat I'm hearing earlier about Kyrie and him screwing up the whole Boston situation, and how Boston was 4 or 5 years later is now into the finals, and now all of a sudden that this is a great idea. It's bad that Kyrie actually left, but what happened with last year and the previous year and the previous year before that? Barrick, actually take us off. What the hell's going on over here, man? What's with all the chatter and everything I'm hearing?
Well, it's not much of the major chatter you hear now. It's just about, do these guys regret leaving their respective ball clubs? Back in 2020, I'll say this much. Back in 2020, Kevin Durant came out and made a comment about regretting leaving the Warriors. And there was some sort of, inkling of maybe Kyrie joining the Warriors. This is after the finals and things that nature. 2 years later, or 2.5 years later, something happened. Brooklyn needed 2 star players to show up. So you wind up getting Kyrie, who had issues in Boston, and Kevin came along. Kevin Durant left because he had issues with Draymond Green. Also, he didn't feel like, Steph Curry had his back. The medical team in Golden State messed him up a little bit. He felt like he didn't have proper, he just didn't feel like he was being taken care of properly. He had all that up, and this is the reason why Kevin left the Warriors. More importantly, Kevin wanted to make his own mark by going to Brooklyn and joining his boy Kyrie, who wanted to make his own mark as well. Should these guys feel regretful? No, they should not. But this is why the chatter started. Because now you walked away from these 2 teams, and now they're in the finals. And hold up, stop the presses. Where was Golden State last 2 years? Okay? Where was Boston?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right?
Yeah. This is what I get frustrated with the media. And I called in on the Brian Scalabrine show on NBA radio this morning, and Frank Isola, and I yelled at him.
Right.
And listen, if you have a healthy Ben Simmons, you have a healthy Kevin Durant, a healthy supporting cast, Boston is not beating the Brooklyn Nets. This is what I said. Sorry, man. It's just not going to happen. They just cannot generate enough offense to really kind of compete with the Brooklyn Nets, and even with the Milwaukee Bucks. And that went 7 games with no Chris Middleton. You have Chris Middleton there. Boston is not beating them. So I gave you the billiards, the pool analogy, Barrick, that if you're playing a game of pool and your opponent actually scratches on the 8 ball and wins, are you celebrating that victory? Are you gonna be pumping your chest out like, yeah, baby, yo, I'm nice as shit, man. You garbage, man.
Right.
When you know what I'm saying, when you won by default, I'm gonna say, hey, man, woo,
Right.
finish the match, man. I'm gonna have to, I gotta be better.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So I mean,
Right.
I wish the guys, same thing with Golden State. Where were they last year? They didn't even make the playoffs.
Well, they couldn't even get into the play-in. So, and of course, obviously Golden State had injuries last year as well. We're not going to make too much of a big deal about the injuries because the injuries are part of basketball. But with that being said,
that's exactly what I'm trying to. It's been this way for years and years and years. What do we always say, Beric, when we have debates, man? Barring injury, right? Barring injury.
Barring injury, yeah.
It doesn't matter. If
barring injury.
If Joel Embiid goes down with the knee, who on the damn Philadelphia 76ers, or let's say Giannis with the Bucks, is going to be able to replicate what those two can actually do? Nobody.
Yeah.
That's the whole matter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the whole point. It's funny because I also, there was an article out about Matt Barnes, and Matt Barnes is always talking stuff about this, and he said that he personally believes that Kevin Durant regretted leaving Golden State, and he went on to say that I'm just pulling up the thing now here. He went on to say that because of the fact that Brooklyn hasn't had any success, that Durant at this point in time should feel regretful. I think, first of all, Matt Barnes, keep your mouth shut on that. How you know this man regrets something? The bottom line is he bust his butt last year without Kyrie on that team. And then they got into the finals. Damn near. So right now at this point, because of injury, should you regret something? This, in my personal opinion, is going to skyrocket Kyrie and Kevin. It's going to push them higher. They're going to come back next season and I'm like, okay, remember all that regret conversation? I'm going to show you how much we regret this when we go all the way and win the total.
And that's absolutely. I mean, that's I was talking with some people commenting on one of the last live stream, and you got a healthy Ben Simmons, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant, along with your sharpshooters. I mean, who's going to beat that team, really?
Exactly.
Yeah. And let's get to the whole Kyrie and Boston situation, because Beric and our pre-show prep over here, man. You got to remember, Jason Tatum was in his second year, I believe. You had Terry Rozier. They were up for extensions, for contract extensions.
Right.
Then you bring in Kyrie Irving and you bring in Gordon Hayward. They are not trying to actually take back seats to those two. They're not. It's going to affect their bottom line. And I believe the extension is based on point production. So, like, you're asking Tatum, who thinks he's a star, and Terry Rozier, who actually thinks he's a star, to say, hey, I'm going to take a backseat to Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. That's not all Kyrie Irving's fault right there. I mean, come on. The media is just so disingenuous. It boggles my mind. And even going into this year, when the Boston Celtics were really struggling, Tatum was all about the points. And Doka had to really kind of get into him. Like, yo, share the basketball. It's not just about you. Tatum, like I said, it normally takes these guys to about 27, 28 years old to put everything all together. That's when it just clicks, for the mental aspect. Okay, I got to share the basketball. Same thing with Michael Jordan. Was it 29, I believe? He was losing the first round. Phil Jackson had to come in and say, hey, you want to score 50 points, 40 points a night, or do you want to win championships and pass the ball? Michael Jordan was the black hole of basketball in a sense, though. And Phil Jackson had to kind of talk him into it. So it takes time. The media is just so disingenuous. They have a bias against Kyrie Irving. I don't know why. But actually, we kind of know why, though, Beric. But I'm not going to say it on this live.
Yeah, but it's funny too, because I also remembered Kyrie saying that after the passing of his grandfather that of course Kyrie's from the New Jersey area, and he wanted to go back to New Jersey. He wanted to be closer to home, and that was one of the main reasons why he elected to go back and play with Brooklyn instead of just returning with Boston. There were so many different things that we had to rehash on this as to why Kyrie left Boston. And I'll take him at his word in regards to wanting to go home. Because sometimes that's what happens. You start off by going to Cameron, you play for Duke, so you're in North Carolina. Then you leave North Carolina, you go and play in Cleveland, right? You get drafted by the Cavaliers, you eventually win the championship there. Then you decide you want to get away from LeBron, because him and LeBron is eye to eye. You go to Boston.
Remember, LeBron wanted to trade him for CP3. And that's when Kyrie says, you know what? Nah, I'm going to force a trade out of here before you actually do that.
I don't know if that was factual or not. I don't know if that's factual. LeBron never signed off on it verbally. He didn't come out and say it. But, I don't know if we could take that as face value. But, I always believe that Kyrie was trying to make that move. And I think he finally felt the right move was to be making to come to Brooklyn. So he'd be closer to Jersey. Of course, the Nets were in Jersey, but, of course, they're in Brooklyn. So had they still been playing in Jersey, that would have been more of an incentive. So, at the end of the day, I'm not going to hold Kyrie too much to what happened in Boston. I'm going to hold Kyrie more what's happening in Brooklyn because you asked Kevin to come join you. And with that being said, Kenny Atkins is gone. Now you have Steve Nash as your head coach. So it's all about trying to get this done. So there should never be any chatter about where there should be some regret leaving Boston, or Kevin should have some regret leaving Golden State when we all know the reasons why they left. Golden State was what it was for Kevin. Kevin won 2 world championships there. Two world championships, 2 NBA Finals MVP. Okay? He joined a team that was already established and made them more than what they were. And he decides to leave.
Well, I was saying on the last video, man. There's people that actually wants to play the new video game and wants it on the easiest settings and say, hey, I'm the best. And there's people out there that wants to play it on the hardest settings possible and then say they're the best. So there's nothing wrong with Kevin Durant. There was nothing wrong with KD wanting to go and do his own thing, build his own thing, build something from the actual ground up. I mean, there was a 73-win team that Kevin Durant actually joined, and granted that they actually really needed him. I mean, there's people saying that they didn't really need him, but yeah, they did need him. That Golden State team was not beating Kyrie, KD, and LeBron James. It just wasn't going to do it.
Well, that's what Kevin Durant said. He basically said, in sense, and I'm going to say it again, I felt like it was time for a change. I wanted to play for a new team. This is what he said back in 2019. Remember, he had the Achilles injury. He missed the whole following season before he got back on the floor and played. Okay? Why should this man feel regretful? But he did come out and make a comment about the medical staff of the state. They didn't really back him up. They didn't really take care of him. I don't know how true that is, but these are the things that came out. So when you look at what we discussed about Kevin,
and that's another thing. I mean, in terms of we gotta get more deeper into this, man. I mean, there was a regression of the team too. They were losing key bench players. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that the owner didn't want to go into the luxury tax, which we were talking about really before we started this kind of live about Jordan Poole and maybe the owner not want to pay the luxury tax. So I mean, there's a lot of things over there with Golden State, man.
Well, there's a lot of things. Remember he left OKC right after that dud in the NBA Finals. Right after the next season, he left OKC to go join Golden State. And when he did, it was a matter of saying, hey, get the sign and trade done. Remember, $164 million Kevin Durant got out of this. And it was a big incentive for him to leave, But at the end of the day, you were tight with DeAndre Jordan. You were tight with Kyrie. These guys were now going to be in Brooklyn. That was the other incentive to come over. Let me go join my boys. You know how it is. We cool with certain people. Oh, let's get together in our line of work. We got certain locations. Let's all get together and work out of that one location. That's what happened here. But again, like I said, you had what was going on with the Warriors. After the injury, it was almost like now we try to find out how we really feel about Kevin. Starting with the Draymond issue. Starting with Steph not having his back fully. Starting with the medical facilities not taking care of Kevin the proper way. All these things led to it. Then here comes Kyrie, my boy. Here comes DeAndre Jordan, my boy. Let's focus on our situation in Brooklyn. You have all that together. Yeah, I'm going to bounce them out. I know if I stayed in Golden State, there's a chance I could have won more chips. I get that. But there's always going to be that talk about, oh, you did it with Steph. You did it with Clay. Kevin wanted his own situation. He wanted his own situation.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing absolutely wrong with that. I'm for mobility in that sense, though.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. He said it basically in plain English. I wanted to start anew. I wanted a new team. That was it.
Yep.
You know. Now, in regards to Kyrie Irving, it's just amazing that Kyrie gets so much flack. But Kyrie's a highly intelligent brother who stands on his 2 feet with his sneakers laced up, and this is what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. When you're talking about the whole situation with the COVID-19, the shot, and all that stuff. I'm not taking a shot. He stood up for himself. And guess what? Kevin had his back. So, what now? Can we sit back and say, with all these things that happened to the Brooklyn Nets, had they been healthy this season, this conversation never would be happening. It's that simple.
Oh, they'll definitely be in the finals, man. I mean, like I said, a healthy Ben Simmons. You have Joe Harris. You have the floor spacing. You have defense, and it's just people. I'm gonna keep harping on it and harping on it. This is not a whole Kyrie thing. If injuries do matter, there's nobody that's going on that team besides maybe Kevin Durant and Kyrie that can duplicate what Joe Harris brings. And you have Steph Curry on one leg, which means I can stay attached to him on the perimeter more because he's not going to be able to really beat me off the dribble in a sense, though.
Right.
His ankle. That lower extremity injuries actually really matters in a sense, though. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, that's the whole situation. And, just to kind of, cement the whole situation, I do think the free agency situation in Boston with Kyrie, I think that was another situation. They were supposed to take care of him. And I think what happened was when the Nets were supposed to play in Boston on Christmas, Kyrie didn't show. Because he didn't want to hear all the crap that was going to go on over there. He didn't want the distraction in Brooklyn. He didn't show. He decided, I'm not going to go. And of course the COVID-19 thing was going on. I don't know what I can say about this situation with Boston, but it's over. It's over. And he moved the hell on.
Let it go. The media needs to let it go. I know they're going to talk about this. And like I said, like Boston went to the finals right after Kyrie Irving departed. And if James Harden didn't get hurt last year, nobody was beating that big three. Every general manager concurred with that. Nobody was beating that big three with Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie. Nobody was beating. It's too much offense, man. It's too much.
But like I said again, I just want to make sure we hold the whole situation with Kyrie. When his grandfather passed away, that was it for him. He wanted to be closer to home, which was in Jersey. He played with the Brooklyn Nets. That was it. I mean, that was the whole thing. He did talk to Danny Ainge, and he did have a conversation about resigning. But I think sometimes people say certain things that keep the other players and other team at bay until I'm able to make a real final decision.
Listen, it's like a girl, a guy, vice versa. The heart wants what it wants, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's the bottom line. And so now you have Kyrie sitting home, Kevin sitting home, and they're watching Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors duke it out. And when it's all said and done, it's over. Next season,
you're talking all this trash, man. I mean, that's just like, and the way I'm kind of rooting for Boston, man. I'm just like, because I get tired of all this nonsense about Kevin Durant and he should have left and how wonderful Golden State is and all the praise. And I'm like, come on, why weren't you saying this last year, man? Come on now, why weren't you guys saying this last year?
Yo, let me tell you something else. Right now, it's a chatter about if the Golden State Warriors win, then does this put Curry past Kevin Durant
No,
in regards to top
no,
player and things of that nature?
no.
I voted and said no, it does not, because even though Steph would have 4 world championships and Kevin only has 2, it doesn't really matter. Kevin Durant's numbers are MVP, Finals MVP,
Finals MVP,
right?
scoring titles,
Scoring 2 scoring titles, and obviously he's on the all 75 anniversary team. Almost Steph. That's on the
All right,
tip.
listen, we're gonna wrap this up. Basketball is a team sport. Ain't no one player doing it by themselves. Nobody. It's a team sport. TEAM, team sport. If Steph Curry doesn't have a healthy Clay or Wiggins, he's not winning anything. So come on, stop. This is a team sport. Team sport.
That's the word. That's the concept. That's the concept.
All right, we'll wrap this video up. If you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Certainly share the video. When you share, the universe certainly shares back with you. If it doesn't, Barrick has promised to actually donate a paycheck, man. I mean, this is a great man.
Yeah, I don't know about the promise part, but hey, that's all good. That's all good. It's all good. Thanks a lot, guys.
Peace out, everyone.
Peace.